she's so terrified of losing Iowa, and she's so terrified that even if she wins the Iowa caucuses, but some liberal does well enough to wound her, that it will hurt her chances, that she's forgetting the fact that there's a general election to come if she's a nominee. She's terrified of the left, and it's showing on a range of issues. Wall Street won't hold her accountable to it, but she, I think, is creating a lot of trouble for herself, and it's only just begun.
It's only just begun. Mark Halpern, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now is Susan Ferrechio, Chief Congressional Correspondent, The Washington Examiner, panelist on the McLaughlin Group and Fox News Channel. How are you, Susan?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Steve.
Always my pleasure. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you just heard from Mark Halpern. I mean, this book tour. It's like the book tour. I mean, it's a disaster so far. I don't understand. Maybe you could explain to me how she goes on a listening tour and meets basically with 4 people, and the other coffee event, like she's never been in a coffee place before, is staged. She parks in a handicap place, handicap parking spot. Her Scooby van goes right by people in wheelchairs and old elderly people who wanted to talk to her. Could you have planned it any worse?
Well, she hasn't been on the campaign trail in an official capacity now in a long, long time. So luckily for Secretary Clinton, it's early. She has time to get the rust off her campaign here, which clearly is showing. But I also think she needs to take a hard look at the strategy. I mean, it sounds like they want one thing, but they're not accomplishing it, because talking to 4 people, as you say, is not really addressing the everyday Iowans that she says she wants to make contact with. But I think we don't really know what her strategy is yet. It's only been a few days. I'm curious to see, will these crowds get bigger? Will these working groups get bigger? Excuse me, or will it just be these 4 or 5 people she talks to? She's never going to win Iowa that way, Steve. You know, you got to really win over people, you know, more than 5 people to win the Iowa caucuses.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So you wrote a piece yesterday at the Washington Examiner talking about the fact that Hillary's working to shore up her support in Congress.
That's right, because remember what happened in 2008. She had it all behind her, and then along came Barack Obama, and then came the attrition. She lost them one by one, and then they're superdelegates, Steve. They vote to pick who is going to be the nominee, and it came down to superdelegates in the end, practically. Remember? They were fighting tooth and nail over them.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't heard the term superdelegates in a long time. You're absolutely right.
A lot of us are never going to forget. She's not taking any chances. Yeah. She announced on Sunday. On Monday, she's on the phone with the people she knows who are on the fence, and I talked to a whole bunch of them, and they want something out of her. They're saying, yeah, she's probably the nominee, but they know they have some leverage. Let's face it, we called her inevitable once before, okay? And look what happened. Now, granted, we don't see an Obama-like candidate waiting. That's okay, though. It doesn't mean she's inevitable. There are others out there who are keeping their powder dry if she implodes for one reason or another. And certainly her campaign has been off to a rusty start. And if I were those candidates in the wings, that would give me a little bit of encouragement. But I will say on Capitol Hill, they want to avoid that internal divide that they had in 2008. And they like the idea of just having their candidate ready to go, getting it all over with so we don't have a 2008-like scenario, which, as you know, of course, was the horse race till the end, the very divided primary, and, of course, a divided Congress over whether to back Hillary or whether to back President Obama. This time they're hoping to avoid that, but she hasn't convinced everybody, and as you pointed out at the beginning here of this interview, she has gotten off to a start that is anything but a success, in my opinion, because everybody's making fun of her. That's never good.
No, that's never good. All right, very briefly, we have a minute left. I mean, who realistically do you see might get into this race? We're still talking O'Malley, and I know Sanders says he's going to decide. Warren seems to be out. I mean, who? Biden?
Yeah, well, Biden, of course, has been hinting that maybe he's not going to get it. Let's face it, if it looks like Hillary has it, nobody really is going to make a big stab at this. And if you look at the poll numbers, O'Malley is at 1%. There you have it. But that's, you know, we've seen the polls turn around before. O'Malley's very ambitious. He's not going away. He's also very charismatic. You know, I wouldn't rule out an O'Malley candidacy that could be successful. Let's face it, if Sanders gets in, all this stuff makes her pivot where?
Right.
To the left.
Right.
And that's never good in a general election, you know, because you want to be more in the center where she is really politically right now. So it really changes the dynamic of the race, Steve. So I would say Sanders is a possibility. O'Malley, Jim Webb, Biden even, if she looks like she's doing really poorly. I don't rule any of them out.
We shall see. Susan, have a great weekend. We'll watch you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
All right, we're coming back, folks, with Carl Higbie. Don't go away.